It began like any other morning in Ohio. John, 47 years old, a successful businessman, polished his shoes, tightened his tie, and checked his watch twice. The flight to New York wasn't just routine. It was crucial. A meeting that could change his career forever. His suitcase was ready, his ticket printed. He kissed his wife quickly, barely listening as she reminded him, "Don't rush. God is with you." But John wasn't a man of faith. His God was the stock market. His prayers were the numbers on his screen. He got into his car, turned the key, and that's when everything went wrong. The engine sputtered, coughed, then died. "Not today," John growled. He tried again. Nothing. Sweat beaded on his forehead. Every minute counted. He slammed the door shut, flagged down a taxi, begged the driver to hurry. But traffic was heavy, the city unforgiving. By the time John arrived, sprinting through the airport, heart pounding, he saw the gate close. He had missed the flight. Anger burned inside him. His career, his reputation, his entire future, gone. Or so he thought. What John didn't know was that this delay wasn't the end. It was the beginning. He slumped into a chair, furious, trying to book another ticket. Then the airport fell silent. Every TV screen lit up with breaking news. The flight he was supposed to be on, Flight 237, had crashed. Flames engulfed the wreckage. Reporters spoke words that froze his blood. No survivors. John's breath caught, his vision blurred. That was his seat, his aisle, his suitcase now reduced to ash. He thought of the people he had seen at the gate just minutes before. The young mother holding her baby, the elderly man struggling with his cane, the businessman who smiled politely as he walked past. Now they were gone. And he was still here. His hands shook uncontrollably. It wasn't luck. It couldn't be. In the days that followed, John was tormented. Sleep brought nightmares, screaming voices, falling metal, the fire consuming everything. He woke drenched in sweat, gasping for air. Why me? He asked the empty room. Why had he been spared while so many others had perished? His friends told him he was lucky. His colleagues said it was coincidence. But deep inside, John felt it was something more. The image of the gate closing haunted him. The sound of the car engine failing replayed in his mind. Had it all been orchestrated? One Sunday morning, desperate for answers, John wandered into a small church. He hadn't set foot in one for decades. He sat quietly in the back as the pastor spoke. Sometimes, God saves us from battles we never even knew we were fighting. The words pierced his soul. Tears he didn't know he had began streaming down his face. In that silence, John felt something he couldn't explain. A voice, not heard, but felt deep in his chest. It was not your time. I saved you. Live for something greater. John fell to his knees, and for the first time in years he prayed. Not for money, not for power, but simply to say thank you. From that day forward, John could no longer live as he once had. The man who once measured his worth in contracts and bank accounts now woke each morning with a single thought. Why am I still here? At first, he struggled with guilt, survivor's guilt. He would stare at the names of those lost on Flight 237, scrolling through the news, seeing the faces of mothers, fathers, children. He whispered their names in prayer, even though he had never met them. He felt a burden, a responsibility, that he had been chosen and they had not. But as the weeks turned into months, something changed. That crushing guilt became fuel. A quiet fire began to burn inside him. John started speaking, first to small groups in his community, then at larger gatherings. At schools, he told students, "You think you have forever. You don't. Every breath is a gift." In churches, he shared his story and always repeated the same words. God closed that gate. God stopped that car. God spared me for a reason. People would approach him after every talk, tears in their eyes, saying, "Your story brought me back to faith. I was about to give up, and now I won't. You reminded me that God still works in ways we cannot see." The man who once chased profits now chased purpose. He volunteered at shelters, funded scholarships for children who had lost parents, and spent weekends sitting with strangers in hospital waiting rooms, because he remembered what it felt like to sit there, praying for a miracle. And every time he shared his testimony, he ended with a challenge, spoken slowly like a vow. God gave me a second chance. I will not waste it, and neither should you. Whatever time you have left, whether it's 50 years or 5 minutes, live it as if every heartbeat is borrowed from heaven. The story of Flight 237 spread far beyond Ohio. News outlets picked it up. Pastors referenced it in sermons. Videos of John's testimony were shared millions of times online. And yet, through all the attention, John stayed humble. When asked why he thought he was spared, he would simply smile and say, "I don't know why God chose me, but I know this. He is real. He still speaks. And he saved me not for comfort, but for a mission. And tonight, his mission reaches you. You've heard the story. You've felt the weight of his words. Now the question is no longer about John. It's about you. Do you believe in coincidence? Or do you believe in calling? Because if God saved John's life that day, maybe he is saving yours right now, giving you this very moment, this very story, as a reminder. Life is fragile, eternity is real, and every second is sacred.